Everyone talks about moving abroad like it's some type big adventure where, you go on these cool trips and you meet new people and experience new cultures and stuff. And yes, it can be all of that, but there's also another side that people don't talk about. People like to skim over when they're letting everyone know that they moved abroad. It's about the times when you're lonely, when you don't understand what's going on, when you don't have anyone, helping you. Like, these are the things that people don't really talk about when they are sharing their lives abroad. And sit down. I'm going to share some of that with you right now. One of the things like people don't talk about is like missing your family and how life still moves on. One of the things you don't realize is when you are gone, the time's still running. People are still moving through life. New family members are being born. Birthdays are still happening. All these things that you're going to be missing because you are not there. Unfortunately, as sad as it sounds, people will get used to you not being there anymore. Like special moments and funny stories. People are just gonna create new things without you there, experiencing different experiences without you there. And then when you visit, you're gonna be like, I don't know what's going on, and be a little bit of an outcast in that moment. But these are some of the things like you don't really realize are gonna be a thing until you move away and a few years have passed. And then you come back and you're just like, whoa, this is so not how it used to be. The first few years, it's like super exciting, but being around your own people. In my case, not only am I Black people, but also like Haitian people for my culture. And that's something I didn't think I would miss so much. But really, like when you don't have your food or the foods that you miss, the meats that that you miss eating, or meals that your grandma used to make or your mom used to make or your sister used to make for you, or places you can go to go buy it, until you're away, you don't realize how much that is such a big deal to you. I remember, so I'm Haitian. If some of you guys don't know, I'm Haitian American. I grew up in Florida and now I live in Germany. Hey, a thing that I miss the most is just like the Haitian culture, like the jokes and the language itself, and cracking up about the growing up Haitian and things like that, or like the mannerisms and things. And living in Germany, honestly, to this day, I still haven't really met a Haitian person in my hometown, in the town that I live in. I have met other Haitians in different countries. For example, in Paris has a lot of Haitians. And I met some people there, which has really, like, my heart gets so full. I feel like I just want to, like, stuck to their side and just talk in Creole and just crack jokes all the time, because they just get it. You know what I mean? Like, you just miss people who get it, who look like you. You don't have to explain anything. You don't have to give the history. You don't need to think about it and, think about who you share it with. It's just, they just get it. You don't really understand how that feels until you move away and you don't have anyone who looks like you or who is part of your culture. And it makes a big difference. Like, yes, I do consider myself American as well. That's a big one for me as well, like the American culture, but I can find it here at times, but the Haitian culture, forget about it. The spices, don't get me started. Don't get me started. The other thing that people don't talk about is you're literally starting at zero. Yeah. You leave your job, your friends, your family, you start at nothing. If you're lucky, you can find a job before you go, before like you move abroad. But at the end of the day, you're still starting at zero. You got to make new friend groups. You got to find a new place to live. You got to literally rebuild your community. You're at the bottom of the totem pole when you move abroad. And sometimes your career does not transfer over. Sometimes your degree doesn't transfer over. So now you have to start all over. I remember when I decided to make the move to Germany, and I was looking into, continuing my university degree there, and they didn't accept my classes that I've already taken. And I was literally like maybe 2 or 3 classes away from graduating. And I was like, yeah, no, I'm not starting over with my university degree. Forget it. I'm just going to keep what I have in the States and then, literally start at zero. And I can tell you it is not easy. It is so hard. If you're lucky, you might get a job that kind of puts you a little bit above where you are. But if you don't know the language fluently, if you do not, have an in where you start from the top, you're done. Like, I'm a normal human being. I don't have anything backing me up. I did this all on my own through blood, sweat, and tears. And I started from the bottom every single time. And it's not easy. And I can tell you that it is the hardest thing ever. And, I asked myself, like, why am I torturing myself? Why am I doing this? And at the end of the day, I love living here. So I'm going to just keep going through the motions until I'm where I'm supposed to be. But you literally start at zero, and you got to be ready for that. You have to be aware that you won't start at the top like you used to be in your home country, because you're not the top dog here. You are at the bottom of the totem pole. And another thing, you got to make new friends. Yeah, you already know how hard it is as an adult to make friends. And I know everyone goes through a certain period in their life when they're like, oh my gosh, I have no one and I need to make friends. And it's so difficult. How do I make friends? Well, when you move abroad, you don't have a choice. Either you are lonely for the entire time you're there, or you learn to make friends. And let me tell you something. I highly recommend making friends. Not just being friends with everybody, obviously, but obviously finding someone, like a few people that you can trust and, bond with, because you need a community. You have to not only battle the social culture of where you're living, but you also have to battle the social culture of the people you're meeting as well, because you might not be the only foreigner there. And if you make foreigner friends, like as they call them, expats, at times they move away, they go back to their home country, they move to another country. And that's something you kind of have to get used to and understand, that when you do live abroad and you make friends who also moved abroad, there's the chances that they might also move back, move somewhere else, or you might move, and then you got to start the whole process again, and that your friends might just be far away and you're still lonely. So you also got to make sure you're making local friends and hope for the best that they don't move, because you got to kind of learn how to build that social community, you know what I mean? Yeah, it's not easy for everyone. I've been lucky where that wasn't such a big thing for me. Did I meet a few bad rotten eggs? Heck yeah. And we'll leave it at that. But do I have a few close circle friends now? Yes, I do. Let me tell you, if you do not know the system, you don't know your rights, you're going to be screwed. For example, in the States, I know what I'm allowed. Not everything, but I know my rights, right? I know what can be done, can't be done, all that good stuff. But when I moved abroad, I was like a newborn baby. I had to learn everything. And I'm still learning to this day, really. There's so much to learn when you move abroad. It's a ongoing process. You have to know your rights for work. You have to know your rights as a tenant. You have to know your rights just as a human being when you're living in the country that you're in. You have to be informed in the system, because if you are not informed, you're going to pay a lot of money for that. Because at the end of the day, if you don't know something else exists, you're just going to pay for it. And you're just paying to learn information and to learn. So talk to people. Talk to locals, ask questions, never just accept an answer as is. Google, research, ChatGPT, AI, we got all that stuff now. There is no excuse for you not to start doing the research and knowing what your rights are, because they really, really help. I remember I was on holiday. I can't remember who told me, but I think it was one of my colleagues. They're like, hey, did you know that if you're sick on vacation and you have a doctor's note, you get your vacation days back? And boy, oh boy, did I use that in the end, because I got really, really sick on one of my holidays, and luckily for me, I had a doctor's note, and that was bad. As soon as I arrived from the airport, my friend picked me up and took me straight to the doctor's office. That's how bad I was. And I was able to get all those vacation days back because I was sick. I wasn't on holiday. I wasn't enjoying myself. I was in bed sick somewhere else. So those are the rights you kind of need to know, because those are important. You don't just lose out on your holidays. You get to retake them on a time when you're actually healthy and able to actually take holidays. So I didn't know that for a long time. Now I know my rights. And I also tell others when they start doing their job, I'm like, hey, don't forget, just so you know, these are your rights and things like that. You got to help each other out, build that community, because you're just going to get taken advantage of. Paperwork. Oh my gosh. Paperwork never ends. In the States, like, oh yeah, I read this, boom, threw it out. Here, you better keep everything, okay? Keep everything. Minimum 10 years. 10 years, because you don't know what's important and what's not important, which is another reason why you got to learn the language, because paperwork is endless. Work contracts, legal contracts, letters from the government. Are they all important? You don't know if you don't understand what you're reading. Always ask a friend or something. Honestly, just when you're getting your work visa, it's a lot of paperwork. You got to fill out a packet of paperwork, send it in, and then they'll send you more stuff and more paperwork to fill out over time. And then after a few years, you got to do it all over again, prove more paperwork. It's just endless. And if you don't understand what you're doing, you're just going to be lost. And if you miss something in this paperwork, you're screwed. I remember I had gotten a letter. I don't even know why, but I got a letter in the mail and I didn't fully read it. And somehow they sent me another one and I read it. And from the gist of it, it was basically like, you need to take an integration course to learn about the country of Germany, or else. I don't remember to this day what the or else part was, but I knew that it was serious enough where I didn't want to find out. So I hurry up, signed up. Luckily for me, they gave me like a discount because it was mandated by the government. And I was able to take it the course at a cheaper price. And actually, I still have to this day credit to take more classes. But yeah, that could have ended so bad. Like if I didn't take it, maybe I could have gotten kicked out. I don't know. But this is something like I never thought I had to deal with when I moved abroad. But it's something that I'm like, I don't mess around with the paperwork. Like I keep every single envelope, every single paper. Anyways, I think in Germany, it's mandatory you keep everything for like a minimum of 10 years. I digress. I still need to organize everything. It's still something I'm learning about, trying to figure out. ADHD does not help my butt. It's a work in progress. It's a work in progress and it's serious. Like, don't play around with the paperwork when you are in a foreign country. Like, read every single thing. Make sure you understand. Translate if you have to. I remember when I was struggling with my electricity bills, I took all my paperwork, everything from the electricity company, and I went to my friend's house. We sat down, she read them all with me. We called the company and tried to figure things out. Like, it is a team process. Like, you cannot do this stuff on your own. So make sure you take that stuff seriously. You know what I mean? People don't talk about that stuff, but you don't want to be losing your house and on the streets in a foreign country. Okay, let's talk about the financials. Moving abroad is expensive, okay? Whenever someone asks me like, oh, how much should I save? I'm like, minimum 10,000. I know, it's a lot. But think about it. You got to pay for your place when you're there, just in case you haven't found an apartment yet. So you got to pay for temporary housing. All the fees, the government fees, the paperwork fees, everything fees. You have to get insurance. You need to be insured. At least in Germany, you have to be insured before you even get approved for the visa paperwork. You need to pay for public transportation, your phone, bills, electricity, anything and everything you need to pay for on your own when moving abroad. And if you are not approved for a work visa yet and you're abroad already, you need to cover all of those on your own. The first time I moved abroad was fine. I had a sponsor, but I still had to have my own money because I paid for everything on my own. I paid for my flights. My sponsor just covered my insurance and my housing. But the second time I moved around back to Germany, I had to cover that on my own. I had to find a place to stay. Luckily, I had someone where I was paying them about $700 a month just for the apartment. And then I had to pay for my public transportation. All of this before I started working. I wasn't working for 2.5 months and I had to cover all my expenses up until then. And the thing is, in Germany, you get paid once a month. So because I started in the middle of the month, I didn't get paid till a month and a half. So for about 3.5 months, I wasn't making any money from work. I had to pay everything on my own, even when I wasn't working. Living abroad is expensive. All the fees, everything. Like, I remember one time I was switching jobs, and obviously at the time I wasn't working and you get paid once a month. And I was so poor, I couldn't even start a new job because the job required me to buy my own tools and things, and I couldn't even afford that. So I had to take a different job where they didn't require me to buy anything prior to starting my job. And it's sad because it's like the other job would have paid me a lot more, but I couldn't afford it. I couldn't afford to start, you know what I mean? But if I was back home, it wouldn't have been an issue. But I'm abroad, alone, and all those things, so there's nothing I could have done differently. But, you know, it is what it is. That's a story time for another time. Going home becomes a financial decision, not necessarily like, oh, all the time. Because one, you got to know, do you have enough vacation days? Can you afford to go during the times that you're allowed to go abroad? Like, depending on your job, depends on when you're able to take vacations. So luckily for me, most of my jobs, I can take them anytime throughout the year. But I've had friends who had certain jobs where they can only take vacation in August. And August in Germany is like one of the most expensive times to travel because a lot of families travel in August due to the school being out and everyone being on summer holiday. And so everywhere is expensive. And depending on that, it's like, can I even afford it? Because the thing is, when I moved abroad, I chose quality of life versus amount of money I make. So I took a pay cut moving abroad. So now when I move back to the States, I have to decide, like, is it worth, you know, the trip? Because one, I need a minimum of a week to go home. I require 2 of those days during that week for just traveling to and from. And then when you're home, it's not really a vacation, you know, you're trying to see everybody, visit everyone, and hang out with them before you leave and go back again. And sometimes it's just more stressful than it's necessary. And then on top of that, it's like, this is my vacation time. Do I want to go back to where I've already seen and been? It's not really a holiday for me. Or do I actually want to take that time and actually go on a holiday and go somewhere I've never been to before? Living abroad, you're able to do a lot more trips and things, but you only have a certain amount of time to do it on holiday. And when you take that time to go home, you've already been there. You technically, you already know everyone and seen everyone. It's not really holiday. Whereas when you go somewhere else that you've never been to, you're actually on holiday and can be a tourist and enjoy the time. It's no longer like, oh, just yay. It's a financial decision more so than anything else, because it's like timing. Do I travel during Christmas, Thanksgiving, New Year's? Those are very expensive times to travel, but usually those are the times when most people can travel. It's not as busy at work. You know, it's really difficult. When you move abroad, you feel like you don't fully belong anywhere. You know, when you're in Germany, you're just like, why don't we have this here? Why is it so complicated here to find everything that I need? Why can't I just have one store like in America where I can get everything? Why do I need to go to 3 different small stores just to find items for one meal? And then when I'm in America, I'm like, ugh, America, why are all these foods here? These are all unnecessary. Why is there so many chemicals in the food? Why, you know, don't we do it like this in Germany? It's so much easier. Why don't we have this available? Why don't we recycle more? Like, there's so many different things that I don't like about America, but I love about Germany. And there's so many things that I don't like about Germany that I love about America. And you just kind of build this third persona of like the in-between. You're not really fully integrated in America anymore because so much has changed since you left. And then you're not fully integrated in Germany because it's not really your country and you're still learning. So you're just like in the middle between the two, a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and you just have this third person that you created that kind of molds into both. When I moved back to the States, I really felt out of place. Like, I didn't feel like I belonged. I just kept comparing all the time. I'm like, dang, you know, in the States, in Germany, we did it like this, and it's so much easier. Like, when I moved back to the States, I didn't even have a car. So I was so used to taking the bus, which is what I did when I lived in Seattle. I took the bus everywhere I walked. I was so used to being, you know, without a car that I didn't understand, like, why we need to do everything the way in America, the way everything is in America. I don't even know if that makes any sense, but you're just stuck in between 2 countries and you just feel out of place in both at times. You become your own emergency contact. You know, when you're back home, you have your family, you know someone to call, you know, You have everybody you need to call whenever something's wrong. When you move abroad, your family's thousands of miles away, or kilometers, whatever you want to call it, away from you, and you don't have anyone there that can help you right now. You got to build that community. You got to find your friends, find the people you trust to be able to give a spare key to when you're in the hospital, who's going to visit you if you need to be in the hospital. If you had something done, or a surgery and operation, who's going to pick you up after the operation, who's going to take care of you if you're sick, who has the spare key to your house if you're locked out or if you're forgotten or something. Those things in Germany can be quite expensive. You're going to need to build that community to find some people who you can trust to do the things that your family and friends from back home used to do for you. I touched on this earlier, but like learning the language, the language barrier isn't just about like integrating. You have to understand your insurance, your work contracts, your government letters, everything. Like, it's one thing having conversation with people in German and trying to learn food orders and things like that, like McDonald's or the restaurants. That, okay, cool, no problem. You can get by with just the basic German, but you really need to understand the language and comprehend what you're doing, because at the end of the day, whenever you get something for insurance, or you're sick and you need to read doctor papers or emergency contact things, or any type of emergency where it requires you to understand like technical German, that's where it gets hard. That's where it's like, man, I really need to figure out what I'm doing, because I can't do this alone. This is where the panic starts. I broke my ankle and I ended up having to get surgery, and it took about 5 months before I could get the surgery done. So I was really walking around the city with a broken ankle, and I was filling out the paperwork, and they're like, oh, what language would you prefer? Obviously, I immediately put English. Let me tell you, although I put English on my paperwork, majority of my time there, 90% of the time, I stayed in the hospital. I think I stayed 1 or 2 days in the hospital after surgery, and 90% of it was done in German. All the nurses spoke German only. They did not speak a lick of English. The only person that spoke English to me was the doctor themselves. And I only saw them, I think, 2 or 3 times throughout the entire time I was there. And the rest of it was done in German. And so I really had to advocate for myself. On top of that, I'm lactose intolerant. So my food was also different that I had to get, and I couldn't have a lot of the normal foods that my roommate was having. And it was just such a hard thing. But you really need to understand what's going on, the medications that they're giving you, and advocate for yourself no matter where you are. So you really need to understand the language, not just for ordering food, but for everything else. Work contracts. Like, what are you going to do when you have a contract and they put on small print something that you didn't want, or things like that. And if you don't understand or don't take it seriously and read it through, you're just going to get taken advantage of. Learning the language and stuff like that is not just about integration. It's about independence. Would I still move abroad even after everything I just explained? Yes, I would still do it. Because at the end of the day, through all of those difficulties and stuff that I faced, moving abroad has given me experiences that I've never in my life would have had if I didn't move abroad. If I stayed back home, I would have just probably been with someone, had kids, and just worked and stayed there. But moving abroad has afforded me experiences that I can only dream of, really. I mean, I've had random strangers from an art gallery who owned it, drinking wine with them and things like that. I met so many amazing people that I ended up meeting again in a different country and just catching up online. Friends that I will never forget, meeting people and experiences that I don't even know how to go about it. I mean, I do not regret anything or any of the experiences of the people I met. Do I wish I could have handled some things better? Yeah, but you live and you learn, and moving abroad has made me so independent in a way that I never would have seen coming. Do I get scared to do things? Yes. Do I still do them anyways? Yes. Why? Because I've experienced so much on my own and at such a young age in a different country where I didn't have anyone to count on but myself to get there. Living abroad has changed me completely. The way I think, the way I move about in this world, the way I see the world. And that is something you can't get if you don't leave your hometown. Do I recommend moving abroad? Definitely. Do I recommend moving abroad without doing your research? Definitely not. Always do your research, and I hope this video has helped you. Open your eyes a little bit to the realities of moving abroad. It's not always butterflies and rainbows. It's not always this European dream that you see on Instagram. There are days where you feel lonely AF. There are days when you just want to give up and go back home. Trust me, I've had them all. And some days when it's really bad, I'm just like, why am I torturing myself? Why am I making my life so complicated by living over here and struggling and starting at zero and start all the time? And it's because although I experience all these negatives, the positives outweigh it by like a landslide. If you've ever lived abroad, please tell me some of the things that you wish someone would have told you. What have you experienced? Do you have any crazy stories? I have hundreds. Yeah, just let me know, and hopefully this video helped y'all. Deuces.